Thank you everyone for joining us today to celebrate the memory of the great Daryl Nathan. We at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center were deeply saddened to hear the news of his passing on July 22nd this year. His impact on our organization and the citizens of Grand Rapids has been far-reaching and enduring. Over 2 decades after his last broadcast on GRTV, people still ask about him and his show, and they want to see more and know more about him. Even in this day of YouTube, where the wildest ideas are shared, Daryl Nathan's passion, his charisma, and his artistry stand out. He truly embodies the spirit of public access television. Over the past few weeks, the Community Media Center has been gathering memories of the great Daryl Nathan from the community to share with you tonight. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to talk to us, to send us videos and audio, and share their experiences with us. It's been wonderful and inspiring to hear new stories demonstrating how wide-ranging and long-lasting Daryl Nathan's impact has been. And of course, thank you to the great Daryl Nathan for sharing that passion and that character with us. You will be missed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Great Daryl Nathan Entertainment Show, Incorporated. All right, moving right along.
We're talking about Daryl Nathan right now in 2020.
Right, it's 2020 and we're talking about the great Daryl Nathan. Who would have thought? We didn't think back then that we would. I mean, we knew it was clever and awesome, but this is 2020 and people still remember. That's a testament to that guy's talent to entertain, that we are still sitting here talking about him. He came into one of the GRTV classes. That's where the show was born. Was he, like a lot of people, like myself, just came down to what is public access TV, and he started taking one of the classes. And there's a part of the studio class where you get to be the talent, you know. And he sat down and he did his keyboard thing, and everybody was just like, whoa. And then from that point on, it was sort of a mission to like get this guy on the camera. This is something special, you know. And so I think his first shows were born out of that early GRTV class. Well, Daryl took his work very seriously. He put his heart into it. All of his songs were very positive and uplifting, and I think that's a big part of why people still remember and are still affected by his music. He just put his heart into it. And I just think it was a really great gift that he's left us with.
The great Daryl Nathan was a genius. Musical genius, lyrical genius. I could write 50 stanzas for the performance tonight, and he could write 5 sentences and split them up into 5 songs and steal the show. When he came on GRTV and we would listen to the calls that came in, they came from all over the county. Then I would DJ parties, and sometimes I'd be out at college parties and they'd be like, turn the music down, Great Daryl Nathan's on, it's 11 o'clock. And people would just start partying, watching GRTV, watching the show on TV, laughing, having fun. And it sometimes, as someone mentioned, the initial shock of seeing him dressed like Peter Frampton with the wig on is like his big giant rock and roll star, but with the wig, it would sometimes catch a little humor, but by the middle of his performance, it would be respect, admiration, and still people are having laughter, but it was bigger than a novelty. It was like at first, oh, they're laughing at him. Now they're enjoying him. Within minutes of his show, it's like, hey, we need this. Yeah, I was there and I already knew of Daryl. So when he started talking about doing something on GRTV, I was like very supportive of it, because despite the 4 bars he plays on piano, I've heard Daryl do entire church songs. So I expected Daryl to be doing full compositions. This is the Daryl I know. So I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm about to see like Prince Nelson Rogers on TV, because he really can sing. He really can play keyboards. And when I first saw him dressed like Peter Frampton, I like, what in the world? You're not finna get on TV like that. What are you? He said, my show is gonna be bigger than yours. Oh, I laughed so hard. I said, okay, let me humor him. Let me keep his confidence up. But then I tried to slow him down because I didn't want him to be embarrassed and maybe people in the neighborhood hold it against them. But the first night I saw it on TV, I was like, wow, and I'm watching my household. And the initial shock was the neighborhood like, what? Who is that? For a while, they didn't know who it was. I let them watch and then they fell in love with it. They're enjoying it. And I said, you're not gonna believe who that is. Who is it? I said, that's Daryl from behind us. That's Daryl? I said, that is Daryl. And everybody went crazy, and it basically would just start saying, hooray, he was a champion right off the back.
All right, it's a brand new song for a brand new year. A new thing is happening.
If I could, please. I was thinking about when he first came here, he had a song, He is the King of Kings, He is the Lord of Lord. His name is Jesus, Jesus. And they'll go off key a little bit. Oh, he is a king. And then he'll go sit down. And we would get a kick out of it. And he'll play his little keyboard. And I think Daryl was probably around 16, 18, 19, somewhere in that area. And then all of a sudden we were at Pastor White's house. I don't know if you remember Reverend Dawson, Prophet Dawson, they call him, and Pastor White, and Pastor White's husband. We were always talking to him. He said, yeah, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to be on Broadway. I'm going to be on TV. And I tried, he proved me wrong then, and he proved me wrong now. And it was so hilarious. He said, y'all negative. He said, but you know what? The Bible speaks about a vision. Without a vision, you'll perish. And he did it.
It would definitely tickle your spirit.
Oh, yeah.
And I liked it. I think he's inspirational to the new people because he doesn't fit in the category. So what happens is when you deal with a lot of different musicians and singers, artists, everybody wants to put you in a box. So I like that he couldn't be slid into any category. He literally can create his own category. You see what I'm saying? I can come up and say, he can say, I had original Daryl Nathan. That is a category because I'm not trying to be like anyone else. I'm not going to fit into your box. I'm going to set a standard myself. He set a standard. We may not have recognized it at that time that it was a standard being set, but I'm like, he set a standard that you don't have to be a follower. He's a trendsetter, you know, and that comes with a lot of rejection, a lot of criticism, as well as love and inspiration. So, you know, yeah, and then when you're a musician, sometimes you're more critical. So if you come from a musical background, I come from a musical background. My people are very musically inclined. So sometimes we're very critical. We're like, we hear that wrong chord. Oh, the beat is off, you know, that type of thing. And I said, just to be able to see him just learn, to really just see him learn and progress and not be ashamed of the learning. I mean, I might rehearse, but I'm rehearsing in private. I don't want nobody to see my mistakes. You know, if it's a mistake, oh, please, deed it out. You know, it was not a mistake for Daryl. You know what I'm saying? Daryl played through it, he sang through it. He like, that's not no mistake, that's God.
Well, we can the CD, we just can't cassette. That's what I think.
Are we going to do another one?
One more. And then we're moving on.
Which one are you going to do?
I have another request. You make me show out when I'm around your dog.
we saw some video of you performing together with Daryl Nathan, the great Daryl Nathan, and tell a little bit about, you'd also made a comment about how he inspired you to be more inclusive of a community or society. Talk about how that ties together.
You know, just being an African American, and sometimes society moves at its pace, and sometimes our community is included, and sometimes it looks like people don't see us, or they're going through life as if we don't exist. So his show was one of the first shows where I was like, wait a minute, everybody's listening to this show. Black, white, Hispanic. So it doesn't matter where you come from, it's your messaging. And if you hit upon a universal message, it can touch everybody. And then maybe once you touch everybody, you can begin to teach other people just more about love, happiness, and togetherness. But there is a human thread that holds us all together. And like I said, he was one of the few artists that found that.
Okay, I can't find anywhere quiet, so I'll do this in my car. My car is the vocal booth. Okay. I'm in the wilds of central Wyoming, living in my car. I just received the news, and I'm going to quickly jot down my memories of the great Daryl Nathan. GR in the 90s was a different kind of place. With no internet or social media pressure, one could be creative just to be creative. A band or artist didn't need a mission statement or a cause to hitch their carriage to. And there was no better and disastrously wonderful place to be creative than Public Access Channel 23. Sign up, take the classes, and then you could make your own TV, unsupervised and for free. The place was full of amazing, oddball characters. There was Price West, former minor league ball player and wannabe motivational speaker, and some dude in an Admiral Akbar mask who did skits and reported on local culture. And there was a dude with a show called Seeds of Change. He had formed his own religion, and its symbology was a halved watermelon. He also shredded from time to time. And Jack Johncock, Sonia Henney's former skating partner. At 80, he could still perform his signature move, skating on his hands. He made shows about germ warfare and training the body to survive it, demonstrating that he himself could withstand germ-killing temperatures of 106 degrees. But none of them could hold a candle to what I saw that fateful night at GRTV. Hey, have you heard of this Daryl guy? He's been doing some music here. No. He told his mother to put a napkin on his plate. He told his father to put a napkin on his plate. To put a napkin on his plate. To put a napkin on his plate.
He put a napkin in my plate. He put a napkin in my plate. He put a napkin in my plate. I told his mother. He put a napkin in my plate. He put a napkin in my plate. I told his
My
father.
mind was blown, man. This guy, in wig and tux, and playing cacophonous synth brass patches on the keys, was performing a song about getting his parents to put a napkin on his plate. No tongue-in-cheek irony or flailing attempts to be hip like all strata of artists are today. This man was compelled to write this song and see it through to execution. A truly great artist. We watched every tape on hand from start to finish. Spinning Wheel, 4th of July, Beware Those Pretty Fine Girls, songs I recite to this day. Beware those pretty fine girls. They'll mess your mind up. They'll mess your mind up. A dream come true. I met him at GRTV on a cold February day. He had just walked miles in a storm. Icicles were hanging off his face and he didn't even notice. Too nervous to speak, Jeff signed me up to run camera at the next taping. Talk to him. It was amazing, relentless, and all first takes. He sat down at the keys, opened his spiral notebook, and rattled off song after song after song. Wow, a brand new song for a brand new year. He'd get asked to play local venues or open for local bands, and he'd often respond with odd requests. 2 bodyguards, I play from 7:38 p.m. to 8:07 p.m., and pay me $236.48. His business card was 3 paragraphs of text so small you could barely read it. All of the letter S's were dollar signs, and it advertised acting lessons at $88.72 an hour. In his home, in his bedroom, was a drawing on the wall, a big building and text that read, "The Great Daryl Nathan Rehearsal Hall," and underneath it, $200,000. He explained to me this was the building he was saving up to buy. Not build, to buy. This structure already existed. In those rough and tumble days of the late 90s, the Great Daryl Nathan was the talk of the town. And you didn't get to see him just whenever you wanted. He wasn't at the click of a YouTube search, kiddos. He was a mystery, and if you had the dumb luck of stumbling upon him whilst channel surfing on a Saturday night, well, that was like hitting gold. He's on! He's on! Praise be! Holy moly! And seeing him live, well, that was unreal. His 1997 Festival of the Arts set on his new keyboard and new look was fire, baby. It was also so very charming that he still needed to read his lyrics from his notebook for songs that were rarely more than 2 lines. The leaves are falling from the trees. The leaves are falling from the trees. Woohoo! Yeah! And though he was a bona fide local hit, Daryl's interest eventually began to wane. I don't know if it's because fame wasn't coming fast enough or in the fashion he wanted with its bodyguards and its $472.38 an hour and its big buildings full of Daryl Nathan shows, or if other interests began to pull. Being an eccentric, of course not all of the attention was positive. I'd seen him made fun of, mocked by callers when he guested on a call-in show, and I hope that attention didn't dissuade him from television. Is that guy for real? Moving right along. But on the other hand, he must have at times known he was loved, especially at school assemblies. Many local junior and high schools had him in to entertain, and the kids went nuts for him. So many people say they watched him on GRTV as young as 6 or 7, and they are still infatuated by him, still know all the words and the tunes. And that's the thing, folks. That's the mark of a true performer. Daryl had naturally what so many wannabes try for and fail: appeal. No matter a person's taste or preference, no matter what genres they followed, or even if they followed music at all, when they saw Daryl perform, they were captivated. That gift you can't buy. No amount of virtuosity can inspire it. No selfie filter can fake it. When Daryl got on those keys, he was an entertainer. It's a beautiful world.
Don't y'all be nice? You have to be nice.
I got all day. No.
All right, got another brand new one. The leaves are falling off the trees. I'm gonna get to that now. Falling off the trees.
And that's why I was wondering where he got his outfits. I mean, who made them? Who tailored him to look the way? I mean, because they fit him well. They weren't like going down to Herpelsheimer's or whatever and pulling it off the rack. You know, he had it. I mean, that gold down the front, man, that's sweet.
Somewhere in the world there might be
There
some
might
Daryl
be.
Nathan suits still in existence that might be worth
Yes.
some money on eBay or something.
That would, oh my
I'm
gosh.
telling you, you got to interview his family. We got to get them in
I'm
there.
curious to hear their side of it and what they thought about it. I used to wonder if maybe they weren't cool with what he was doing. Like, I had no way of knowing. I would like to. I'd like to know about
I
that.
bet someone in his family tailored those clothes.
Oh yeah.
I can almost see him doing it, like having a sewing machine and making them.
Wow, I wouldn't be surprised if he also had that talent.
He didn't write a song about it, though. He could have written a song and sewn and written a song. That would have been interesting. I never really asked him. He
About
didn't
his
really
suits,
ask,
yeah.
you know, just kind of like it is what it is. And he didn't.
And the wig never dried out. Somebody knows how to take care
Yeah,
of that
that-
wig.
To try to class his music or his genre, I think it was kind of difficult to try to figure out what kind of music is this really music? Yes, it is, because music is music. And he had a song called Music Is My Thing, yeah. Music, music, music. Oh, music, and it was so hilarious. But he had a lot of people that really liked him and appreciated him. And as I said, I look at some things you cannot fake. He learned how to read music. And even with this church, I remember we were putting in the speakers right there, and he was helping me. We would get up in the ceiling, so he was helping me feed the lines. We had another company. I'm afraid of heights, and so some kind of way we did it, but he helped wired up this church and everything like that. And so I just thank God for Daryl. He did leave a lot of positive things. And the thousands upon thousands of people that really love Daryl, hey, he left something here.
Yes,
We
he
ought to
did.
hope that we can do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was wonderful.
I also know he was fascinated with that hair. I think he hung around me a little bit because I do hair.
So he took your wig.
I would do hair, and so that's one thing. I'm in what's called the one-stop culture shop. So I do the drum and dance, but I also do natural hair care. And so I'm doing locks, I'm doing braids, I'm doing twists. So he gets the chance to see all of these people with all this different hair. So he would sit with me for hours, you know, and he'd be like, that's their real hair. I'm like, that's their real hair. You know, and I know he always liked hair. He was into hair.
I always created something that I always wanted. And being great is something means powerful.
Uh-huh.
And
Do you feel it's the looks, the glitter, the hair? I mean, what exactly is it?
it's glitter, glamour, fortune, and fame and power. This is, I like long hair and fancy tuxedos and costumes. I believe that every singer should always look your best and give people your best. So that's something that the great Daryl Nathan puts out.
Couple, maybe 3 years ago, can you make up a song about the Juneteenth? He said, yeah, I can. I'm going to need some time. I said, Daryl, it's only going to be one line. Why don't you just make it right now? You know, he's like, no, it takes time to make a whole song. And I'm just sitting there, I'm just thinking like, wow. But I got to give a lot of credit to his family because, like I said, he had a heart full of love. And that comes from someone who must have received a lot of love growing up.
I was thinking I've never seen him dressed in his wig and stuff no more than on TV.
Me either.
And when my grandson was younger, that's 20-some years ago, that was my babysitter. In the evening time, if he was acting up, put Daryl Nathan on TV, you had his full attention. But
we often talk about it because I told him, I have a prayer room. He said, oh. And so from then he went on. He always had a creative mind.
That is
To
true.
do
Very
what
true.
he wanted to do. And what he said he wanted to do, he did that.
Yes, he did. That's what I like. Yes, he did. And he was thorough.
So you can count on him. It little or big, it didn't bother him.
Right.
As long as he got through.
Very humble. Now, I haven't known him to have a car. I always knew him to walk, healthy, ride a bike. You know, I would be somewhere, I'd be all past the mall. I'm like, is that Daryl?
Yeah.
I'm like, is that
Both
Daryl
malls.
out there? You know, you know, just everywhere. And to be able to say, hey, he helped put Grand Rapids on the map. Yes, he did. So we got to give credit for that. You know, he definitely helped put Grand Rapids. And if nothing else, I say the African American community, he helped us to be able to know that we were accepted downtown, that GRTV would accept what we're doing, allow us to be there, that the door would be open for us. So I think he definitely played a big part in that too, you know, just making sure that, hey, if you'll accept Daryl, you may accept me as well.
In some way, somebody will pick up after what he's doing.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever he is, somebody.
Yes.
Somebody's gonna pick up how he played, how he sang, and how he talked.
All right. We're moving right along. Tonight, I have some old request songs for you, and you. One of them goes like this, called Amazing Creation. Amazing creations. Look at the birds flying high. Look at the eagles in the sky. Look how beautiful they are. Some are red, some are blue. Look at the crows in the sky. Amazing creations. Look at the wonderful world. All right, now moving on.
It's just weird being a part of this, history. I was looking for an interesting subject for a documentary, and would never have guessed that, 20 some years later, I'd, still be discussing it. I think that says something about Daryl and his lasting power. I'm just glad that, especially now in hindsight, that I was able to interview him and get some of his thoughts on tape and so people can see what he's about.
Where are you from originally?
Chicago, Illinois. I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois on February the 23rd, 1966.
Can you explain a little bit about life growing up in Chicago? How it was for you?
Well, just an ordinary child, you know. Growing up in the church, and so many years, and I went to school at Calumet High School, and I always have loved music.
When did you decide to add the name Great to your title? When did you decide that, I'm great?
This was my idea. Things come to my mind every so often. And I would just had a big cardboard sign on the wall. I was just writing certain names down. And so I just kept writing and thinking about it, writing and thinking about it, writing and thinking about it. And so I kept on, and something came to my mind, say, the Great Daryl Nathan. Great Daryl Nathan. I like that. I'll keep that in mind. So I've been sticking with that idea ever since.
Pretty soon after that, we decided, both myself and there's a producer at the station, Dale Chilton, and we were like, let's bring him in here and we'll shoot some stuff and we'll get him back on the air. So that's how kind of the new iteration of the show went. Yeah, I mean, Daryl's music is very infectious, that's for sure. And it's interesting too how I think it kind of changed a little bit. The earlier stuff, he kind of had, more of the automatic loops on the keyboard, really fast-paced stuff. And then I don't know if it happened when he kind of went to his newer keyboard, but he really slowed down. He was playing a bit more than just the automatic drum beats.
But you're right. You did notice something that I had thought about, is his GRTV era was all built around presets on that keyboard, and like every song was just like, right, the rock setting, the disco setting, so his songs are built along that. And then, so then he bought a newer, more expensive keyboard that didn't have those presets, and then he was kind of making up new material, I thought, because it wasn't built around those presets. And that to me marks the Daryl 2.0 era, or whatever, if you want to break it down that way.
Have another request song for tonight. It's called International Lover. International lover, look at the pretty world. International lover, look at the pretty girls. International lover, look at the pretty world. International lover, look at the pretty girls. International lover, look at the pretty world. International lover, look at the pretty girls. International lover, Look at the pretty world, international lover. Look at the pretty girls, international, international, international. All right, moving on.
I think people connected to Daryl just because you gotta love somebody that can kind of just get up on stage or in front of a camera and just let loose, be their own human, just be weird and love it, and unapologetic about it. It takes some guts to do it, and that's what he did. And he wouldn't let anyone get him down. The bulk of his work, he's trying to spread positivity. And I know he was a big fan of Stevie Wonder, and he likes Stevie's, uplifting music. And so I think he kind of emulated that, and he was trying to spread out some positive vibes, into the world. He always pointed out the songs were, from adults to babies, teenagers, little kids. He wanted to be a family show. I think he envisioned a whole family sitting down in front of the television, week after week to watch him. And so he would do something, Old Macdonald was for the babies,
Old Macdonald had a farm, and on his farm he had some ducks. Ducks here, ducks there, ducks, ducks everywhere. Old Macdonald had a farm, and on his farm he had some cows. Cows here, cows there, cows, cows everywhere. Old Macdonald had a farm, and on his farm he had some pigs. Pigs here, pigs there, pigs, pigs everywhere. Old Macdonald had a farm, and on his farm he had some horses. Horses here, horses there, horses, horses everywhere. Old Macdonald had a farm. All right, but moving on. That was a song dedicated to all the little children. Old Macdonald had a farm.
He was just a really nice, genuine person, and I thought he was just so kind to everyone that he met. He didn't talk badly about anyone. He didn't say a bad word about any. I mean, he was just so positive all the time, and it was almost exhausting because you would just have to try to keep up with him all the time, and it got to be sometimes a little bit like, oh, I got to take a step back because he was just 100% sweet, you know, all the time.
Yep, good guy though. Never have I been with Daryl where he had any major complaints or something major had happened in his life where, you know, most of my friends as we grow, it's like, hey man, I ain't seen you a couple years. How's your wife doing? Oh man, we got a divorce. What? You a high school sweetheart? You know, Daryl never had a story that was like something big and bad that happened in his life. True happiness, he found it. I never saw him stressed out or sad. I remember sometimes like you see things that happen in society or the neighborhood or you talk to your friends about it. And if I came to Daryl with my emotion, Daryl, you ain't gotta believe this. The little girl came out the store, the mother went that way, the gunshot went that way. Daryl, what is the neighborhood coming to? You just sit there like, well, Robert, I was thinking, if we got this song and went to the church and we did this, just how inspiring that would be to everybody. So you're talking about a song about how to bullet. No, I'm just talking about a song of happiness. I'd be like, okay. So to be able to live in a world and not let the world shape you, you shape the world. Not let the events of the world shape you and your attitude or your happiness based upon what you see when you wake up. Like, I was having a good day till this happened. I was having a good day till I heard this. I was having a good day till the media came on and told me about this tweet. Oh, you know, Daryl, like I said, that's something I would see with him. And luckily I knew him as I got older, because then whenever I'm talking to Daryl, I don't know if he knows, but you know, I'm talking to him, I'm enjoying my time. But in the back of my mind, I'm like analyzing this whole situation that's just blowing me away. Like, how can you be so peaceful and so happy with all going on in the world? And I'm like, yeah, Daryl wins again. More of the world needs to be like Daryl.
It's springtime, so check it out. I said, it's springtime, so check it out. Now you think I'm playing? Watch this. I'm warmed up and I'm ready to go. So fans, hold on to your hearts, because we're going to take off.
What kind of music was he making recently when he was performing?
The same. Original music.
Really?
Yes. The same original thoughts and processes that came to him, just the, yeah, we were thinking of doing something, and I do a lot of cultural work, so my stuff is really targeted culturally, but Daryl does what I call global. You know, so he's like, whatever thought global will affect the people globally. So, you know, just whatever was in his heart, you know. He's talking about coming out the four walls is one of his last. The church outside the four walls is one he was telling me he was working on. So that's because he was currently a reverend, and he had been doing service in his home for many years, blessing the community, trying to do the community choir. And that's something that we were talking about, you know, and it was tickling. It was like funny to us in the spirit, because we was like, yeah, we're going to get able to tell the people through your music how they need to be having service out beyond these four walls of the church. It's outside of the church. And he wanted to have the community choir go to different events. And the community choir was anybody who wanted to participate. It wasn't no, you got to be at this level, you got to have this background. He just always talked about, you know, getting that community choir together. Especially once his ministry, he moved and didn't have his own ministry in his house, he really became focused on what's going on at the church, you know, how he could help and contribute here, what he could add to the service. You know, he definitely felt welcome and at home.
What was his life like outside of music? What did he do? Did he do anything for work, either currently or early on?
Walking.
He used to walk. Like she said, I was way out 28th Street in Granville, out by Rivertown Mall, everywhere.
Yeah, he definitely walked.
But he was always a traveler. He was always walking, ministering, or doing his music, or trying to help somebody. He'd tell me about people he might have helped with their yard, or elderly people with their house. So he was a helper, and he liked to just walk around beyond the neighborhood. I would see Daryl from Adams Street to 64th Street. Like, how do you know people all around? But he would walk these different places as if it was one big giant neighborhood. And he just knew people everywhere, and he liked to help.
When he sees you, what's the first thing he says to you?
Robert S. How you doing, my friend?
I say God must have been blessing him like they do pastors and stuff and doing ministry, because he definitely, in the local Oakdale and Eastern area, he was very well known. A lot of the people that live in that area, he would minister to them. We had a friend named Sweetback who died, and Daryl definitely went and prayed over them people. They were off of Oakdale and Eastern. And that's not just the smoothest area of town, you know, so a lot of people may not run down to that area to be in that area, but he definitely blessed the people, prayed with them, and I thought that was real good. So that's what I was really calling him, like, you know, you the community pastor, you the mayor around here. You the mayor of Oakdale and Eastern, because they would constantly see him walking, but I didn't know him to have a 9 to 5 like that, other than loving people. That was the work that I saw him do, just really loving the community. Now how he got paid for it or compensated for it, I'm not sure, but that was the only job I really knew him to have. He always talked about the choir and presenting it to the community and getting people to sing in that choir. So that was one of the big things, you know, and I try to tell him, you know, well, these people, they try these people, you know, see if this person gonna come. And I regularly kept his card. It's funny, because I had his church card up until maybe around March. And I remember someone was in there and they were asking about a church and stuff. And I said, well, Reverend Daryl, he got a church, you know, because we all like to play and tag along with each other. And then I said, well, let me go get his card for you right there. And then I had the card. I had been having the card there for about 4 years. So Then he said, you still got my card? I said, I sure do. You know, you're the community pastor. And then he ended up getting that card back. I was looking for it the other day. I said, man, he took that card with him that day. Man, I don't even have a card anymore now, but I thought it was beautiful because we passed it to that person and he talked with them about singing and, you know, ministering, and he told them about, you know, I'm down with my aunt, you know, Pastor Jessie. And we laughed and bragged about how she was one of the oldest female pastors here in the city, and he thought it was such a, you know, we laughed and tickled about it, you know, just the lineage that he had, the bloodline connection that he already had, you know. So just knowing that he really came from greatness, it was just beautiful. We just laughed and just had a good time, man. He brightened up your spirit. And I mean, literally, I laughed with someone the other day and told him, I said, sometimes we sit and talk, and sometimes we wouldn't say 2 words in 4 hours, but it was always okay.
I believe he's always been spiritual, so I can't say a lot more spiritual, but there was a lot less things distracting him, because now he wasn't doing the Great Daryl Nathan. So it was just basically about going to churches and helping people, and basically he would get on the radio every now and then and spread the word a little bit on my show. So, but great spirits. It wasn't like, okay, there's no more Daryl Nathan. And some artists, you see them at the height of their career and they're so happy. And then when they lose that fan base, they kind of are depressed. It was as if Daryl Nathan, the great Daryl Nathan, never existed. It was like he still was happy. He still had a great mission. And it's like I was going through the stress that there's no Great Daryl Nathan show.
Did it ever seem, how did he feel about that legacy? Does it seem like he was glad he did that, or does he like think that that was not a good part of his life?
He was glad he did it, and he was proud of it. He was very proud of it. But he just as equal proud of what he was doing now and where he was going. That's what is so unique about his character. Just totally unique. Like you said, moving along.
Yeah, moving along.
I mentioned to the news that I saw him perform at a few different churches, so I didn't get to see his last performance. But just seeing his performance at a church, I'm just like, wow. He's still a great musician. He's still a great singer with a great message. And I just saw the connectivity from what I saw years ago and what he's doing now. It was the same spirit. It was uplifting. People were receiving it the same. And watching his church shows, that's when I knew he couldn't go backwards. If he wanted to, he couldn't go backwards. He was so committed to ministry. And I could tell you, seeing him in the 90s and early millennium, I knew he was a spiritual person, but I didn't know how much. But once I saw it later in his life, I realized it had always been there, and it had always put those barriers there of things that he wouldn't do because he was a very spiritual person.
I never got to see his church show. I always wished that I could. I don't really go to church, but I thought I'll go to church to see the Great Daryl Nathan. I wish I had a chance to see that.
I'm glad I didn't know how spiritual he was, because it would have took the mystique out, the mystery. Yeah, when he says the power, you know, when I first heard that years ago, I'm like, the power. I can feel it in the morning. I can feel it every morning. The power, I can feel it in the morning. Then finally I was so happy when he said, the power, I can feel it at nighttime. Yes, he added an extra word. But now when I watch, I feel the power. After seeing Daryl perform in church, now I'm looking more like the power.
Yeah.
And spiritually omnipotent, where it comes from, I see it in a whole different light. And that's why I'm glad I had a chance to see Daryl perform in church so I could put his life more in perspective, but I'm glad I had no clue when I was watching it. Because the greatest thing is every time I hear Daryl sing all those years when I was younger, it'd be like, where did that come from? What are you talking about? I love it. Why do I love it? If someone wrote down, this is what the song gonna be, Robert, are you gonna like it? I'm gonna hate this song. It has no chorus. It has no bridge.
It's about leaves falling off the trees.
It's got a hook. It has no rhyme or reason because it's only one sentence. So it can't rhyme with the next one. So that's the great thing, like you mentioned the word mystique. That's just the great thing about the great Daryl Nathan.
He started out, you want his last music that he did?
Yeah, what was he up to?
He was playing sheet music. He had this big book, and he played every song for those 2 days, March 27th and 28th. He played every song in that book. The first night he did half of it, the next night he did the other half. And we've been saying, when he got done, both of us said, he stood up, and the expression on his face paid for it all. March the 27th and the 28th, and we came out, and that's during the time the pandemic was so bad. And we thought it was be a curfew, and we thought about canceling it, but he didn't want to cancel. He still wanted to have it. And he told me he had went all over, out to the mall, Rivertown, all over, putting out handbills and stuff, you know, to get people to come. But he didn't have that many people there, but he still did it anyways. Yes. Just sung a song, community concert. That was the name of the church he had. Sung a song.
Church or something like that?
Community.
Old-fashioned church or something like that?
The name of his, that was the name of his church.
Yeah.
Song of Psalms.
Yeah.
Community church. Yeah. I know he had a church building on 28 down before you get to the mall, in the little strip mall, once upon a time. And I don't know how long he was in there. And then he started having service, like in his home. He had his room set up. He had his, he had his keyboard, his drums, and his organ.
Yeah.
And he had some chairs lined up on the side of his room, like a little church service area.
So he had like a home setup that
In his room.
Yeah.
Yep, in his bedroom. He had it set up like a service room.
But I definitely had the privilege of him. He stepped right up. We do Kwanzaa here every other year. I bring a Kwanzaa show here to St. Mary's. And a lady was supposed to do the Negro National Anthem for us. And then she bowed out at the last minute. And I was like, Brother Daryl. He came by, he was like, what's going on? I'm like, shoot, that lady done stopped, don't want to do the song. He said, I'll do it. I said, you will? He said, yeah, I will. And I'm telling you, when he put his mind to do something, he does it 100%. He went and researched the background behind it. I thought he was just gonna get the little piece of paper and, rehearse it, listen to it. I'm like, no, you went and did what? He like, yeah, I went to the library, I done researched it, I found out, you know, all the background behind it, and I was like, oh, that's real nice. Like, you know, he was really genuinely into his work, and I thought that was like such a pleasure. And he just got up and did what he could do here. He was like, well, who gonna play? Who gonna do this? And, you know, I was like, don't worry about it. If you come and you show up, I'm gonna just be so grateful. And he was so gracious. And not just that, I think of him as just such a giving person. When I think about just the time that I had to meet him, he was given to the community, but not just that. He puts me in the mind of the person in the Bible, the woman who gave all that she had. To think somebody would give you what they have is major. I would work in the city and do all kind of stuff in Grand Rapids and never get support. And it just floored me. He called me about 4 weeks in a row and Rev, Pastor, you know, I'm gonna help you do this fundraiser. I'm gonna help you get this program together. I'm gonna help you, I'm like, okay, Brother Daryl, okay. And he'd call me every week consistently, you know, try to encourage me and stuff. And then he was like, I raised money for you. And I was like, what? And I thought about it and I said, it really just touched my heart because he didn't have a lot of money. And for Daryl to take his own money, and I know he didn't have a lot, and to purposely give it to me, he actually went and printed flyers and hand walked them to people. Just definitely encouraging on whatever you did. And just the thought of that, to lose a real supporter. An artist, you know, in the community, an unsung hero. You know, it's a loss. It's a loss, even though it's beautiful.
How was that show?
It was nice. It was really nice. He was excited. I didn't even know that he was a drummer. And my show consists of a lot of drumming. So now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, if I'd have known he was a drummer, I'd have gave him one of the 30 or 40 drums that I bring. And then just to have all of this unfold and to know that he has so much more behind him. And that we could be friends without all the titles. You know, that he wasn't a title seeker, even though he was the great Daryl Nathan. And but he wasn't like just a title fire as a pat on his back. He was blessed to be a blessing to others. And to me, you just don't find, especially in the industry, when we're talking about the type of work he did, sharing, being able to be who he was and not be ashamed, to be able to step out, to be 100% who you are. Very encouraging. I mean, just even the thought of Daryl having the boldness to withstand the naysayers and the, you know, just people thinking you can't do it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he just stood up. He did what he did. He learned. He actually showed his progress, his learning. It's magnificent. It's really magnificent. And the connection, he's connected all of us and keeping us connected, even after death. I mean, when someone loves you, they should broaden your circle. And I'm like, that's what he's done. He's broadened our circle just to connect us all. And it's just beautiful to me. It's a pleasure. I just, you know, pray that he had that happiness and fulfillment in his own heart to know that that's something that he was able to do for people.
All right, moving right along. Magnificent lover. song was dedicated to all my fans. I love you, each and every one of you. And thank you for this beautiful sign. Love you. All right, moving right along. Baby, you look so jazzy.